I find gun rights to be a very interesting idea. Here I will share my thoughts on policy concerning weapons, such as guns. I will start off by saying that everyone believes in some degree of weapons restriction. It is just a matter of where we draw the line and why. Nobody is a weapon rights absolutist. To be an absolutist here would be to be a moron. Nobody, at least nobody worth taking seriously, argues for a right to own personal weapons of mass destruction, such as small nukes and chemical weapons, for example. Some people like to pretend that they are completely pro-weapon ownership rights. Virtually none of these people actually are. Disagreements just revolve around where we should draw that line and why. I think the idea of gun rights is also interesting. Gun ownership is not an entitlement society should owe everyone. A right generally implies everyone is entitled to something. In a sense, everyone has the right to try to access guns, but giving everyone the right to freely own and use guns with no strings attached would probably not be the best idea. I think people should be able to access guns, but not so much as some right everyone just has, but instead as a privilege, for people deemed worthy of the responsibility of gun ownership through professional standards. These standards should of course revolve around safety and mental stability. They should be created and implemented by people highly educated in these fields. Similarly, actual laws around what firearms are legal and which are not should be set up by experts, not people who know nothing about these things. People who are as unbiased as possible and who understand both guns and the relationship of guns to society. These are the people who should be helping to structure these laws, not people who know nothing about these things. An ideal approach would balance safety and freedom. I am generally of the opinion that in an ideal society, guns could exist and people would behave responsibly and carefully with them. You could even have lots of people owning guns, and ideally you would have a social environment where people did not feel the need to use them for crime. In reality, of course, guns are excellent force amplifiers that individuals can use to do great harm when they act on impulse. This can be partly addressed not just through gun bans, but also the interesting idea of community armories. A community armory would, as the name implies, be a place where a community stores weapons. This would be good as people could own guns, but limited accessibility would make the impulse-based violence decrease. When we talk about guns, it is important to balance the negative side effects of guns with the benefits they can provide. As is the case with community armories and other interesting ideas, issues involving guns can be lowered in a number of ways without full-on bans. Bans on some particular weapons do, however, make sense. My personal view would depend on context and the views of experts. Ideally, I would want a balance of safety and freedom. In practice, this would not be set up by me, as I am not hugely familiar with guns, but instead by people who are more familiar with the subject and who are also interested in a combination of freedom and safety.